wonderful. Actually, I'm in my hotel room. Kind of weird to be doing a webinar in your hotel room, but that's what I'm doing tonight. But I'm having a great time. Actually spent my entire day working with Seth's team on cold calling. And a pretty stellar day. They were able to set 9 appointments. And actually, one of the ladies is going out on an appointment to get a deal as we speak. So really, really excited. I do want to also say hello to some people that are on tonight. Hey, Carlos, Desiree, Don Shade, Eric Fisher, Eugene, Greg Gold, John, Tammy, Kenneth, Kimberly, Michael, Raphael, Sean, Steve, Wayne. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And hey, guys, hey, Don, if you don't mind, in the box here, let us know exactly where you are so you can let everybody know. I know where most of you guys live, but I think other people would love to hear that too.
That is really cool. That is really cool. And guys, look, we always start out these night sessions or these webinars the same way. We want to tell you why we do these, because there's a purpose for us doing these. We love it, we enjoy it, but we definitely do it with a purpose. And we're all about building real estate communities, one way or another. And the reason we build communities is because we know in this business, you're only as strong as your team. You're only as strong as the tribe you're part of. You're only as strong as the people you surround yourself with. And, I feel strongly that we live what we preach. We live what we preach, because as a result of the community that ourselves are building, this is how we're now investing. I mean, we are in a partner-driven investing mode, meaning all the deals that we're doing, well, maybe not 100% of them, but a huge portion of the deals that we're doing are all as a result of our partners that are scattered all over the United States. As an investor, when you talk to investors that are doing deals, they're almost always focused somewhere. They're focused either on a particular strategy. They could be fix and flippers. They could be rental people, could be creative financing, wholesalers. But the one thing almost every investor has in common is they tend to invest in some particular location. And almost always across the board, that particular location is right where they live. Because let's face it, real estate is a very local business. Even when you look at these huge developers, and you're like, well, gosh, that development company, they're doing stuff everywhere. But I promise you, create local presence for themselves. Local offices when they're doing big deals. They set up local shop. They hire local people. Because one thing that is critical when you're doing a deal, you need boots on the ground in different capacities to put their eyes on the project, to physically inspect the project, to make sure the project is moving forward. And that is exactly how we do things too. We now literally partner with individuals across the United States, and we do deals with them. And, we all bring something to the table. Our side brings something to the table in the partnership, and our partner, the local partner, brings something. So for instance, what we bring to the table is we bring expertise, we bring experience, 20 some years in the making, thousands of deals behind us. We bring coaching to the table. We coach our local partners through the deals. Because that's important. You got to have that knowledge piece. But we also bring marketing to the table. I mean, we literally, when we get involved with a local partner, we literally are part of the marketing strategies. We're putting money into their local markets. We bring money to the table. So when you're a partner of ours, you use our money to do deals. You don't have to have any of the money yourself. You're literally utilizing our money. Both to buy and to fix and whatever else happens in the middle. We bring expertise in terms of helping to execute the deal. Like, let's say if it needs fixing, we're part of that process also. And then we sell the properties together, and we just cut it in half, the profits, and we split it. We take half and the local partner takes half. And that is why we bring or I'm sorry, this is why we built our community now all the way across the United States, because we want to do more deals. We want to connect to people that want to do deals. We want to connect to people that see value in a partner like us. And as a result of all this, this is the number one reason why we do these Tuesday night webinars. We want more partners. We want to do more deals. You know, I've been investing for 20 some years in the real estate market. You know, Julie and I have collectively done thousands and thousands of deals. And we, along the way, gained this expertise to be able to do things remotely. You know, when we were just doing things for ourselves, we were doing things for ourselves in Georgia. We were doing things for ourselves in Florida. We were doing things all the way to the West Coast. So, you know, we feel like we have what it takes to execute remote deals. But we need more partners, because just like anyone who's doing things remotely, we need that local presence. And that's what our partners become. Mm-hmm. And so part of the reason that we do these Tuesday night webinars is to get the word out. Feel comfortable, get to know us, feel comfortable with us, understand our commitment to our partners. A lot of times we'll showcase our partners on these weekly calls. And we want you to feel that, yes, that is a team that we want to partner with. And for those of you that are not yet partners, whether you're listening to us live today or in a recording, you'll actually see a link that you can go to see how you can, the process you go through to become our partner. You know, you just simply go to our main website, www.coachingbypeter.com. I'm sure it's somewhere on your screen. You'll go in there, you'll see other partners that we're working with. You'll see how everything is working, how it's all set up, and it'll actually take you through a process to which you go through, and then we'll talk to you, we'll get comfortable with you, and if everything checks out from both ends, we're going to start doing deals, because that's what we do with our partners. But then the second reason why we do these is that some of y'all are not maybe yet ready to be our partners. Some of y'all maybe don't think you need a partner, and so we want to add you too. We want to be part of your overall experience through nothing else other than potential knowledge. We want you to learn through these. You know, we want to put really good, cool, quality material out. Something that you could listen to, understand, most importantly, execute. And so when we feel like the time will become right for you to find a partner, you'll be reaching right back to us. Because we've been doing this for 20 years. We're not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, we're in hyper growth right now. We're kind of like, you know, blankety blank to the walls. And so one way or another, whether you want to be a partner or you want to just learn from us, that's the point of these things, guys. And what we teach you here is what we do. You know, this is what we call this No Nonsense Tuesdays. We literally show you and teach you exactly what we do on a daily basis. You know, we don't hold anything back, because in real estate, there is no reason to hold anything back. We don't just kind of give you, 70% of the information and hold the other 30 back. No, we let it all loose. There are no secrets. We feel like real estate is not a competitive business. It's an inclusive business. And so for those of you that are potentially not going to become our partners, if we can in any way help you, encourage you, put you in a position that you keep on going, we feel like we've accomplished our mission. But before we get rolling tonight, and we're going to talk to you guys about a subject that every single one of you is going to benefit from tonight. There's not a single person who's listening here tonight that if you're in any way, shape, or form involved in this business, whether you're a partner, whether you're doing it yourself, what we're going to share with you all tonight is something that every one of you all needs to do better. But before we get into that, we got a lot of really cool things happening here in our calendar in the next weeks, even in the next couple months. So actually, let's hit on that. Number one, we got a great event coming up that we want you all to be a part of on April, when is it, Julie?
27th.
On 27th. Okay, April 27th, we're going to have a live event, kind of doing what we do here for the next couple of minutes. We're going to do this for 48 hours straight. We just did one here a couple of weeks ago or a week ago, and it was phenomenal. It was absolutely amazing. It's kind of nose to the grindstone for 48 hours. we're teaching you, we're interacting with you, we're strategizing with you. And during our live events, it's not just Julie and I, but it's our negotiators, it's our closers, it's our infrastructure people, it's the people that are implementing marketing for us. You get to meet them all. You get to feel like, wow. I mean, people walk out of these weekends that we put on, and they are fired up, they're energized, they're kind of like, no matter where they are, when they leave, they're up here. And so we want you all to come. Again, it's April 27th and 28th. I'm sure there'll be a link to the registration page on your screen there today. Make it, guys. You know, this is one thing I learned in anything in life. The more commitments you make in what it is you do, the more of a chance you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it works. You know, when I put something into my calendar, you know, and I say, okay, like interestingly enough, next weekend, I just got a call from a couple hours ago. I get a call from a guy that's really becoming a great friend of mine. His name is Sean Thomas, and tomorrow I'm actually going to be on one of his webinars to his people. And Sean calls me. He's like, "Dude, do you smoke cigars? Do you drink wine?" I'm like, "Count me in on that." And so next week, he and I are going to go to Miami for a day, and there's going to be a bunch of people there and some really, really sharp people. And he said, "Dude, you got to meet these people. You know, we do wine tasting. We just sit around and we just talk. We strategize. We see what's working in the marketplace. We see what's not working." And guess what? That's a commitment I made immediately. I'm like, within an hour, had my plane tickets booked. I had a hotel reservation. And guess what? When it's in my calendar, I know I'm going to be there. I know that is a commitment I made, and I'm going to be there. So I encourage you all, for those of you that have not quite registered yet, but go ahead and register tonight. Be there. It's going to be phenomenal. The other thing we're doing here that's actually in a couple of short weeks from now is on February 21st, Thursday night, mostly for the local people here in Atlanta and just overall Georgia area. If you're somewhere in the driving distance, we're going to start our own monthly meeting that we're going to be doing, and it's called Real Estate Investing Live. Guys, this is going to turn the whole REIA industry upside down, because we all know that the REIA industry today is no longer working. Not the way it was supposed to work, not the way it even used to work. I mean, if you've been part of the REIA groups, your local organizations, you know one thing: the attendance is plummeting everywhere, plummeting, because that old REIA model is a dysfunctional model. You walk in, you get pitched for an hour, you walk out, and you're like, what the heck just happened? And I mean, just here in Georgia, to our big REIA meetings, we used to have, in the heydays, 2,000 to 3,000 people a night showing up. Can you imagine? Every month, 2,000 to 3,000 people would go there. And now they're down to like 20 or 30 people because people are sick and tired of being pitched. Well, in our monthly local event, there will be no selling. There will be no pitching. What they're designed for is for a couple things. One, for you to network with us, our organization, and among yourselves, Georgia market. Number two, they're designed to educate you with some really cool, unbelievable speakers and friends of ours that we're doing business across the United States. They're going to come in here. They're going to fly in from all over the nation, and they're going to talk to you. They're going to teach you, and it's going to be value, zero selling. Okay. I walk out of there feeling like you need to take like a shower, because it's going to be just full of information. And the last thing they're designed for is kind of what we're doing here tonight. We want our local people to become our partners. We want to do more deals here in the Georgia market. And so this will be for those of you that are local that can make here. You'll meet the team. You'll understand how we work. And we want to start partnering with as many local people as possible. So for those of you that are local here in the Georgia market or can be here, February 21st at the Cobb Galleria, we're going to open the doors around 5 o'clock. We're going to get to know each other for about an hour and a half, do some killer networking, and then we're going to get rolling at 6:30 promptly, and it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. In our first meeting, just for you being part of that official launch, we're also going to give you a 1-year membership into that organization with no charge. Okay, so that's going to be kind of a little bonus that we're going to throw in there. Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Anything else we need to announce tonight, Julie? I know you and Rafa were talking about it. Was that the main things we need to go over?
Yeah, that's the main things. And, I really just want to reiterate for you, there's a lot of you on this call tonight that are in our one-on-one program. You need to register because the last event we were almost totally booked. And I know this next one will be the same way. So the earlier you register, the better off you're going to be. So make a point to go ahead and get registered, for this live event. And for those of you that live in and around the Atlanta area, man, I'm so pumped about starting this new, real estate group. It's important to surround yourself with like-minded people. And I want to cover that a little bit. When we're talking about like-minded people, if you're looking to get in this business or you already are in this business, you are not going to find your rah-rah and your cheerleaders probably from your friends and family, because they're not going to understand what you're trying to do. When you go to an event like that, you're able to be around like-minded people that all have the same goals, kind of like going to church. The reason why people go to certain churches or they go to church is so, they can hear, about, their religion, and so that they can be around like-minded people. I'm not saying that real estate events like church. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the concept is similar. So you have got to put yourself in a place to take the time out to go network. And, as much as you'll learn, from Peter, myself, some of these great speakers, you will be amazed the stuff you're going to learn from other people that are there too. So you should never learn all your information from one source. So definitely cannot wait to see you guys then. And I think that'll cover that. We have all the information there. Continue to follow us on social media for more information about that. But I know everybody's excited to hear you tonight, Peter. And listen, guys, I want you right now to stop what you're doing. Quit playing on your phone. Quit looking at the TV, watching whatever's on TV right now. What he's fixing to teach you will make you more money than anything you have ever, ever, ever done. Not to mention will it make you money in real estate, but I use the strategy in my everyday life. If I'm going to buy a car, anything. So listen up. Get your pen and paper out. Everybody that's on, give me a confirmation that you're going to really pay attention here tonight on this. For all of you that are out there, and thank you for letting me know exactly, where you are. We've got people in Oklahoma, Ohio, California, Alabama, St. Louis, Missouri. So excited, but give me your undivided attention. And hey, Kimberly, by the way, for those of y'all, Kimberly is actually in our one-on-one program, and she's freaking killing it. In her first week, she's already ringing like 3 appointments, and I'm beyond excited. But sorry to get off on a tangent, guys. But all right, everybody ready to listen up?
All right, so guys, look, this is what we're going to talk about today is negotiations, and it really does not matter what stage of the business you're in. I don't care if you haven't made your first seller call or received the first seller call, or I don't care if you're doing your 200th deal. One thing that you absolutely need to learn how to do in this business is you have to learn how to negotiate. There's no way around it. Matter of fact, one thing that those of you that I've talked to one-on-one, or those of you that follow me, the one thing I pride myself on is how little physical time I actually spend inside my investment company. And I don't, and by the way, when we talk about that, I don't talk from a standpoint like I do nothing, sit on the couch and like drink beer the whole day. That's the last thing I do. I mean, I'm an extremely hard worker, but I tell you that to let you know what's possible in this business. That when you set this business up correctly, it literally runs by itself. But there is still one function in this business that if I'm ever called on, this is the one function I'm ever called on. Like nobody from my office calls me and says, hey, Pete, we got an inspection, can you go do it for us? No one from the office calls me and says, hey, Pete, we got to send a bunch of mailers out. Can you drop them off the post office box? No one calls me from the office and says, Pete, hey, listen, there's a issue that happened with the contractor. Can you go out there and, fix it? Nobody does any, and there's every deal's got 50 parts to it, you know. No one calls me for any part except for one part. And that is when people in our office need help negotiating something. Doesn't happen often, but it happens fairly consistently. And so the ability to negotiate is the thing that I think is the number one way to shortcut this business. You know, people are trying to figure out shortcut. What do I do to shortcut? Do I buy this system? Do I get that system? Do I do this? And what I tell them, the best way to shortcut your growth in this business, learn how to negotiate. Learn what a true negotiator knows. You know, become brilliant at that art. You know, I never tell people become brilliant at contracting. Never tell people become brilliant working with real estate agents. You know, because in the end, those are the pieces that you really don't need to do. I mean, I'm 20 years in a business and, you know, I don't know anything about construction. You know, I'm sitting in one of my places here tonight and, you know, I was literally short-circuiting one of the breakers. I didn't even figure out, like I never connected that every time I turned a certain light bulb on, my breaker went out. I literally never connected it. I turned it on, it would blow it, and then my breaker went out. And I literally have to have someone come here that has construction experience to say, duh, Pete, have you noticed I can turn this light on, it immediately short circuits, and at the same time, your breaker goes out. And it's like so simple. I never connected the two. I don't know anything about construction because there's no money in understanding construction, but there is tremendous amount of money in negotiations. And this is probably the topic that we hit the most for those of you all that follow us. And sometimes people say, well, gosh, Pete, you already did negotiations, 2 months ago or 3 months ago. Yeah, I did. And we're going to keep on doing it because it's an art. And just like in anything else, when you're doing something like that, you can only get better. You can only get better. You can only understand the science of negotiations more and more and more. So I'm gonna walk you through here in the next couple minutes how I negotiate deals, okay? But guys, understand this is a condensed version. Okay, this is a condensed version. These are the highlights because I really don't have the time I really need to go through full-blown. But guess what? Just kind of a little shameless plug here. For those of you that work here at our last live event, I spend almost 2 hours on teaching what I'm going to teach you here in the next couple minutes. So another reason why you want to be at our next live event, because you're going to see me literally break it down, slice by slice by slice, the art of negotiations. But there are certain parts of negotiations that are kind of non-negotiable. There's certain things within the art of negotiations that you could say are somewhat flexible. There's certain things in the art of negotiations that you can kind of maybe massage one way or another. But I will tell you, there are certain parts of the negotiations that you absolutely have to understand. You have to understand the mindset behind there, the philosophy behind there, the psychology behind it, and all this. And so there are certain key points in negotiations you have to hit, okay? So first of all, just kind of general rules of negotiations. Remember, you are 100% more effective face-to-face than you are over telephone, okay? So like 20 years in the business, I can take a seller call. And sometimes some people just find out I do real estate, so they'll look me up, they'll Google my name, they'll find my phone number, and they'll call me out of the blue. And they will like, okay, hey, I got this. Okay, after doing this for 20 years, and because my time is very valuable, I'm going to be honest with you, I do not necessarily go live to someone's house. I don't have time to do it. But after 20 years, I feel confident in my abilities to negotiate, at least to some degree, a particular deal, okay? But rule number one, get in the door when you're negotiating. There's no question that you as an individual are like a million times more effective face-to-face than you are over the telephone. So the first part of negotiations that I teach people is actually not a negotiation. It's the art of getting in the door, okay? So like today, I was talking to a couple of our partners that we were just getting rolling with, and we were talking about negotiations, right? My conversation was very simple. Just get in the door. Get in the door, and then when you're going there, you're going to talk to Julie or myself or another member of our team, and we'll show you how to do it once you get there. But in the beginning, the most important thing you could do when you're talking to a seller is set an appointment. Okay. And actually setting an appointment is a lot easier than most people realize. Okay. Sometimes people get really they blow way out of proportion getting in the door. But look, if you're talking to a live seller, and a live seller is somebody that does want to sell, where it's hard to get in the door is when you're talking to somebody who doesn't want to sell. And then that becomes very difficult to get in the door. And so people misinterpret. They're like, oh, I can't figure out how to get in the door. And then when you start analyzing who they're talking to, they're not talking to legitimate sellers. They're talking to tire kickers. They're talking to people that just want to get a value of what their property's really worth. People that are just kind of fishing out there, throwing a bunch of stones out there and seeing if anything sticks, okay? But if you're talking to a genuine seller, it's very easy to get in the door. And so the way I get in the door, the way I used to get in the door when I did this on a daily basis is very simple. When I'm talking to a seller, number one, I identify myself. I tell people who I am. Hey, Bob or Mary, thanks for calling. Or if I'm making an outbound call, I just tell people, listen, I understand you own a property. And it gets no more complicated other than I say, are you open to selling it? That's it. I mean, that's really as tough as it gets when I'm getting in the door. And once I've established that, yes, they do own a property, you want to establish they do own some real estate, whether it's the particular house you're calling on, or it could be the house next door, or it could be something across state. I want to establish they do own something, okay? And then I want to establish, are they open to selling it? Okay? And as soon as they tell me, yes, I own something, and yes, I'm open to selling, Pete, then the very next thing I go into, okay, now, I can ask some details, obviously, and we have a lead sheet for our partners. I want to gain as much information on the initial call as possible, But once I've established I own something and I am open to selling something, the rest of the conversation is very simple. Because think about it. Like, let's say you're buying a car. Would you buy a car sight unseen? You don't even think about it, right? Like, if you're calling a dealership and you're like, okay, I want to buy, I don't know anything about cars, but a Mazda or the name of the car. I mean, you're not going to just talk to that salesperson. Guess what that salesman's going to do? He's going to say, come on in, you need to drive this car. So if you think about it, almost anything in life that's of any value, you're going to want to see. You're going to want to feel. So don't feel uncomfortable asking people to go look at this property. You won't buy a car for $10,000 sight unseen. How in the world would anyone expect you to buy a property? So when sellers start saying something like, well, no, I can't really see you, just go ahead and make me an offer. Those are right away signs that is not a serious seller. When somebody says, well, just drive by the property and, don't go inside, just drive by. That's not a serious seller. A serious seller, like if I'm selling a property and somebody wants to see something that I'm selling, I would never create a fuss over getting them inside the property, ever. I wouldn't even think about it if I legitimately want to sell. So that's the first thing. If you're getting pushback and getting in the door, immediately understand you're probably talking to not a very motivated seller. You're doing everything right. You're just talking to somebody that's probably not a true, genuine seller. Okay, so I establish I'm an investor. I establish they have some properties. I establish they want to sell. And then I say, great. When is a good, I always take an assumptive tone towards this. Bob, when is a good time for me to go look at it? I don't say like, do you mind if I look at it? I don't ask them like, is it okay with you if I stop by sometime? No, I want to guide, learn in real negotiations, learn to guide the person you're negotiating against. I never ask that kind of questions that I could possibly get a bad answer to, right? I never say, well, is it okay for me to see it? Because that gives them the ability to say, no, it's not okay. So I say, when can I see it? How do I get inside the house? What time can I go in there? Okay. So make it just assumptive questions as if this is the thing to do and this is what everybody does and that's the next step. And then I, set up some kind of a time to go see the property. So I've established they want to sell. I've established they own it. I've established that they're willing to let me see it. And at that point, that's when I go into the general questions, okay? Then I just want to see how much information I could pump out of that seller, right? Okay, well, tell me a little bit about it, Bob, just so I'm prepared to look at what I'm going to be looking at. First is, Bob, how many bedrooms and bathrooms do you have? And you'll see once you've established that you can see it, it's a lot easier to pump information out of people. Because at that point, you've already kind of, they've already kind of told you, okay, good, we're going to be meeting or you're going to be seeing it. So they're a lot more at ease at releasing information. If you start the conversation by, well, tell me about how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, they're like, well, where's this all going to? So build a rapport, establish credibility, set a parameters for a meeting, and then again, it's like if you're going to go test drive a car, it's very common for you to say, well, how many miles does it have? Is it a 2-door or a 4-door? Is it this size engine? Is it this size engine? Okay. So you're guiding these people through this thing. So then I'm going to try to pump as much information out of them as possible. How many beds, how many baths, what year built, what kind of condition is it in? And as long as they're answering my questions, I'm going to just fire away. And again, for those of you that are partners, we have these great lead sheets that we provide for you, and you just literally just go down the list. And as long as they're answering, I'm asking questions. Well, how much do you still owe on it? Are you current? All that kind of stuff. I might even say something like, why do you want to sell? Because that establishes some kind of a motivation, okay? So I've set up a time, and then I'm going to go see the property, right? Now, in the perfect case scenario, I'm going to meet them at the property because we're going to start negotiating right there on the spot, right? So if they're selling their own house, very easy to make sure they're there because no one's going to let you inside their house without being there. So that's a no-brainer. But we also know as investors, a lot of times we're dealing with properties that the sellers don't live in them. It could be a rental property. It could be a second house they own. Could be an investment property. It could be a lot of things, right? So sometimes it's not possible to meet the owner there, right? Sometimes the owner can't be there. They might work and it takes them too long to get there for the times that's convenient, okay? Understand, you still, whenever possible, want to go see the owner. So then if I realize okay, the house is here, the guy lives there, he can't really meet me there, but he's cool with me going in there, I'm immediately on the phone setting up a time to go see him. Okay, so Bob, I'm going to look at your house tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Okay, I understand how to get in. I understand that it's empty. And then Bob, is it okay that after I see it at around 8 o'clock, I come visit you? Or is it okay? Not okay, and then I'm going to need to see you. Okay, again, more presumptive tone. And I'm going to actually book a time to see him. Now, look, guys, obviously sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's an out-of-state owner, sometimes whatever. But whenever possible, get in the door so you can do negotiations face-to-face, okay? So now let's say you're with the seller. Whether you're with the seller live or maybe if the seller's out of state, you may have to do this through telephone. By the way, how we're doing this tonight, the reason we do these where you could see our faces, we're a lot more effective in terms of teaching you guys. So there's nothing wrong with telling the seller, hey, do you have, I forgot what the Apple product's called, FaceTime. Can we FaceTime after I see it? Can we get on a Skype call? Because again, any time that you have personal face-to-face interaction, you're going to be a lot more effective than the times you can't. When I'm finally with that person in negotiation mode, the very first thing I'm going to do, or the very first thing that you're going to do, is you're going to do everything it takes to get a price out of the seller. So remember, step number 1 in negotiations, get a price from the seller. And you're going to just ask him, Bob, what would you take for it? Now, remember this, what I'm about ready to tell you. You should try to get a price from a seller up to 6 times before you back away. Okay, up to 6 times you should be trying to get a price. Well, Bob, what would you take for this house? Gosh, Pete, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. I get it, but in a perfect case scenario, what would you take? Well, gosh, Pete, you contacted me. I haven't even thought about it. I know, Bob, but if you could have whatever you want. So I'm going to do whatever I can up to 6 times to get a price out of the seller. The reason I do this is because rule number 1 of negotiations is this: whoever says the price first more times than none loses. So it's like going to Vegas and gambling, right? In certain Vegas games, you know, they only have like a 2% advantage on you, but they're making millions and most gamblers are broke. So even if you could tilt, what I'm saying is if you could tilt your way, anything, 1 percentile, 2 percentile, 10, 20 percentile, you want to do it. So the first advantage you're going to gain over your competition or over that seller is you're going to do everything you possibly can to get a price out of them, right? By asking them several times to give you a price, not backing down. Usually if I get 6 no's in a row, I'll back down, okay? Now, what happens next is very important. Whether they do give you a price or whether they don't give you a price. No matter what, the next step, well, if they do give you a price, the next rule of negotiations is very simple. It's called get the seller to negotiate against themselves, okay? Simple. Get the seller to negotiate against themselves. So when Bob says, well, I'll take 100 grand for it, Pete, I'm going to start asking questions like, okay, Bob, is that the lowest you could take? Maybe he'll say at that point 99,000 or 98,000. If he's going down and I'm not even giving him another price, I'm going to get him to go down as low as he can. So I'll ask another question. Well, Bob, what if I close fairly quickly? Well, maybe come down again. Well, Bob, we'll tell you what if I take away all the contingency? This will be no contingency kind of a sale. You know, what if I pay all cash? You know, what if I pay all closing costs? And as long as that seller is coming down to a lower and lower price, I'm going to keep on asking questions. That's the first step after establishing a price. It's called getting the seller to negotiate against themselves. You're not giving them anything, you're just asking questions. And you want to continue that process until the seller gives you the same price 3 times. So, you know, well, Bob, what if I have no contingency? 95,000. Bob, what if I close pretty quickly? Pete, 95. Bob, does it help if I have no contingencies? That'll be $95,000. Okay. So when the seller repeats the price 3 times, okay, when the seller repeats the price 3 times, I'm going to back away. Okay. I'm going to back up. Okay. And I know that's it. That's as far as I've got. Okay. So you got a price from the seller. You got him to hopefully negotiate, get it himself, or you didn't get a price. You're now at the same part of negotiations. Your next move is always the same. You're going to lowball the offer. No matter what, you're going to automatically lowball. So if there was no price given, you're going to go at an extremely low price. If you've established some kind of a price with the seller, you're going to go in at very, very low price next. And when I say low, I mean like almost 50% of where you've gotten them. And you know, this is the first part where most people lose negotiations. Because the reaction is, oh, Pete, I can't, that's ridiculous. Why? They're going to get mad. They're going to get offended. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. You got to go in low. The reason you're going in low on that first offer or your first price point is for only one reason, basically. You want to gauge their emotion. So when Bob, let's say you got Bob down to 90,000, you know, when he's negotiated himself, I'm going to go in at around 50, 45 and 50. And I'm not going to say nothing. I'll say, Bob, you know, I was thinking more like 50. And I'm going to shut up. Another very key important aspect of negotiations, whenever you give a price, whenever you say a price, shut up. Because it is very common for people to, you know, make the sale and then talk themselves out of the sale by simply talking too much. So I'm going in exorbitantly low to gauge their emotion. And you're going to get 1 or 2 emotions when you go in low. One emotion is over the top. Like, are you blankety blank kidding me, Pete? What in the blah, 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 blah. Okay. The other emotion is something along the lines of, gosh, I really didn't think that low, really? Or they'll start him-hawing like, what? Or, let me think about that. Or they'll say something, well, gosh, I need to talk to my wife or my husband, my partner in this deal. Those are all great signs when somebody says that, okay? So one is extremely like off the rocker, What that tells you is you're way, way off. That's all you're learning. You're trying to gauge how close are you. So when they start teeing off on you, you just know you're way off. But when they start going into the him-how mode, or let me think about it mode, or let me check with somebody mode, or let me sleep on it mode, you got it. You might not be able to get them at that price, but you know you're close. So that's why you go in so low. You go in low to gauge some kind of a reaction of where you are with this seller, okay? So then, so you go in low. The seller probably is not going to agree at that price. I mean, rarely do people do 50% price drops, and the seller's like, okay, let's just, I know I want 95, but I'll take 40. Probably not going to happen. Again, you're just gaining their emotion, okay? So when you get their emotion out at that point, what you want to do is you want to then get them to counter. Well, Bob, I know I'm thinking 45 to 50, but, and let's say he's already given me some kind of an answer. I'm just going to come back and say, well, Bob, what do you think? Give me a counter. So I'm going to force him at that point to give me some kind of a number. Maybe he'll come down some more at that point. Well, guess what I'm going to do next? I'm going to go up. How am I going to go up? Am I going to go from 40 to 80? No. Another key factor in negotiations, when you're negotiating, negotiate in small increments. Because A, you're going up. So psychologically, it feels like to the seller that they're winning. Because, wow, I'm getting Bexelman to go up. I'm getting to go up. But I'm going up in small increments. So I'm not going to go from 50 to 80. But I'll go from 50 to like maybe 53. A, he's winning. He's got me to go up. So psychologically, he's like, I'm getting him to go up. But B, he's not really winning much because of small increments. What I'm hoping he will do is he starts coming down. I'm hoping he's going to go in large increments. Perfect case scenario, he'll bump from 95 to maybe 90 or 87 or 85. Okay. And then I'm going to go back. Then we're just going back and forth. I'm going to go up a little bit. He's going to go down. And when is the starting point, stopping point? It's what we talked about. When the seller says the same price 3 times in a row. So when he says, 87, I'll go up. 87, I'll go up. Excellent. I said 87. Okay, 3 times, you give me the same price. The rule of negotiations. When the opposition gives you the same price 3 times in a row, I know I'm done. Okay. And so hopefully at that point, when I've negotiated that deal, hopefully I'm somewhere in the ballpark of where I want to be. When I say ballpark, I'm somewhere within 15, maybe even 20% of where I need to end up. Okay. So another key factor in negotiations. This is just when negotiations have started. It is shocking to me how many sellers, how many investors walk away from deals because on that first negotiation, they can't get the price they want. Kind of like, let's say you got to be at 75 and they're at 83. And you're like, well, I needed it to be 75 or 83. So Bob, call me some other time if you want to sell. No, if you're within 15 to 20% of where you ultimately intend, put the property under contract. Because remember, negotiations is a process. And most negotiations take several meetings, take several get-togethers, okay? So during that first encounter, I got them to go down enough that I'm within 15 to 20% of this. Obviously, if I got them to go down to the price I needed to be, we're golden, we're happy. By the way, if I got them to go down to the price I need them to be at, and they're still going down lower, I ain't stopping. So if I need to get them to 75 and all of a sudden they're at 75, am I stopping? No. I want to get them to 74, 73, 72. I'm going to keep on getting them down as low as I can. But if I'm within 15 or 20%, or if I'm at the strike price, I'm going to put it under contract. Okay. Then my next set of negotiations actually comes after we do the initial inspection. Okay. Now look, I'm not saying go hire a $500 inspector for every deal you're doing. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I am saying here, once you get it tied up under contract, then the next thing that's done in every single real estate deal, some kind of an inspection gets done. I know we're buying things at it as is. That just means we're not going to have the seller fix it. But it doesn't mean that we're not going to account for the things that are wrong, right? So sometimes you can go yourself and inspect it. Just walk around the property. You can find plenty of things that are wrong. Have a local contractor go out, whatever. Then I'm going to reconvene with the seller one more time, okay? And then when I reconvene with the seller one more time, I am then at that point I'm going to use the inspection as a reason to go down. So, the inspection can come back with, I don't know, 10,000 worth of work. And usually what I'll tell the seller to get the price even lower, I'll tell them, listen, Bob, here's the numbers. My guy went in there, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. I got about $10,000 of fix up. So Bob, and what I'll usually say in order to be able to do the price drop at that point is I'll say something along the lines of, but Bob, I'll just go ahead and pay for half of it. Do you mind helping me out with the other half? That's the line I use. Do you mind helping me with the other half? So Bob, 10,000 worth of work. I'll pay for half of it. So do you mind helping me out with the other half? So would you mind absorbing an extra $5,000? And then I shut up, okay? Because that's like me making another offer. And more times than none, especially if you say it in the right assumptive tone, the seller will do another price drop right then and there. They might bop down from whatever they were at. They might not absorb the whole 5,000, but that's another way to pick up another 3,000 or 4,000 potentially, depending how far away you are. And then I'm back in negotiation mode, okay? Well, Bob, I can make the deal work, but I need you to help me a little bit more, this and that. So if you get it at that point to the price you want to be, you're putting under contract and you're trucking along. But guess what? There's times now that you may have talked to the seller a couple of times. You use the inspection report. You use the motivation strategy, kind of like, hey, Bob, I have very limited funds, but I have enough to buy this property. I could spend a $60,000 or $70,000, and you might be at a total impasse. Again, if you're not at impasse, you're putting under contract, but you still might not get it to the right price. Well, what you want to do next is you want to put that person in a follow-up mode. And guys, this is the key part of negotiations. We're about to tell you this. If you're a good negotiator, and if you're doing this the right way, and you're doing this consistently, you will see that you will actually build your business off the follow-ups, not off the initial negotiations. Almost all the deals we're doing are somehow, the deals we're closing on today are deals that we may have started a month, 2 months, 4 months, 5 months ago, but we're just constantly following up. So the whole point of that whole negotiation process I just walked you through there is to build up a follow-up file. Because the ultimate factor, the ultimate key aspect of negotiations is something that you really have no control over. And that is this, time. It's time. Time is the best motivator. Time is the ultimate motivator. And so I just went through this whole negotiations with the seller. I've gotten to know him over maybe a couple meetings, several phone calls, built some kind of rapport with that individual. And then I'm going to put them in the follow-up mode. And then every so often, every 30 days or something like that, I'm going to call them up. I'm just going to say, hey, has anything changed? Has anything changed? And I'm waiting for something to change, a divorce, a death, hiring, firing, upsizing, downsizing, whatever it is. And as soon as that seller tells me, maybe 3 months, 5 months down the road, gosh, Pete, I just lost my job. Or man, I can't give this thing away. As soon as I hear those kind of words, I'm back in negotiations mode. Bob, my offer still stands. And when you do this correctly, and you fill your coffers, you fill up your follow-up things with your follow-up tracking system, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, maybe it's a piece of paper, maybe it's files you're building. You'll be shocked that once a month, when you get to those couple days, when all you're doing is following up, you will see you'll do more deals during those follow-ups than the rest of the month on the initial call. Because the one thing about that initial set of negotiations, as much skill set as I may have or as good as you can get, you kind of sort of have to get lucky in the beginning. You've got to time it the right way. I'm using my negotiation skills to elevate. But in the end, if I'm talking to somebody who's not motivated, I don't care what a great negotiator I am, I'm not going to win. But when time takes over, time creates the ultimate motivation. And it's my job to put as many people into my follow-up mode as possible. And it is my job to stay in touch with as many people as possible. And so it could be argued that the ultimate skill set in negotiations, is how big you could build up your follow-up system, how big you could fill up your follow-up files. Because I can tell you across the board, whether it's myself, whether it's people that have worked for me in the last 20 years, that have negotiated deals, whoever has the biggest follow-up coffer does the most deals. And it's a mistake that investors make day in and day out, day in and day out. They're talking to sellers, they're talking to sellers, they're talking to sellers, they're talking to sellers. And I call it frontline sellers. A frontline sellers see property, try to buy property. See property, try to buy property. And then I'll say, well, how many are in your follow-up mode? Well, not that many. Why is that? Well, the deal, they weren't going to sell it to me is where I wanted to buy it for. Okay. And that's where people lose it. And if you're building this on a frontline mode, meaning you're just trying to time things, you're trying to get lucky, it's a very difficult way of building this business. If you build it from a follow-up mode, it's a much more predictable way of building this business. So guys, that's how I negotiate. That's how I've negotiated hundreds, probably thousands of deals. It's the correct steps. It's saying them a way that's not programmed, but conversational. Okay. You almost want to make the seller feel like this is the first time you're negotiating. And then it's all about building a follow-up. And if you do that correctly, then you'll be absolutely shocked and you'll be surprised about how many deals you're going to be able to put together. Follow up, follow up, follow up. I could tell your chances of success, not necessarily by your ability to negotiate, which will only help. I could tell you your chances of success and how close you are to success by simply looking at your follow-up coffer. And if your follow-up coffer is this small after you've been doing this for a while, I could almost predict that you're not going to be very successful or not as successful as you want to be. If you've been doing this for a while and your follow-up coffer is this big, then I'm just going to tell you, just keep on building it out. It's just a matter of time, because time will motivate these people and sellers. So that's how we negotiate, guys. I wish I could have spent more time with you all. Hopefully you come to our next event. You'll see me really blow this out, how I negotiate and the nuances and the questions I ask. So remember, guys, we want to interact and do more deals. So a couple things to remember. End of April, 27th and 28th, we want you to come to our live event. Registration page is up. February 21st, for those of you that are local in Atlanta or anywhere in the Georgia market that can drive up here, we're going to have our first live event for the local people. It's going to be Cobb Galleria. Doors open at 5:30. We'll get rolling promptly at 6:30. But most importantly, for those of you that are ready to go and do deals now, we need to do more deals and we need more partners. So for those of you that are like in the mode, like, I can't wait, Pete, I'm ready to do deals, I'm ready to take massive action immediately, then you need to be part of our partner-driven coaching program, because that's what we do. We do deals with partners all over the United States. So to learn more how you could do that, just simply go to our website at www.coachingbypeter.com. If you're ready to rock and roll, you could actually even call me directly at 404-915-9685. When you're a partner of ours, you're using all of our tools, all of our resources. You're using my money to buy it, our money to fix it, our resources to help you find it. It's a true partnership across the board. So, guys, that's all I got. I enjoyed it. Take some kind of action step. Don't just be another night where you listened in, learned something else, went to bed, and tomorrow you're back in a rat race. Take action today. Do something. Make a commitment to something. Thanks, guys.